Hello, Xers and interwebers. Welcome to Naive in the 90s, the podcast. I'm your host, Emily. I was a 70s baby, an 80s kid, and a 90s troublemaker. On today's episode, we're just gonna read a passage and babble a little bit about image and just, I guess, my bad body image. But yeah, so let's just jump into it. So this week we're going to do things a little different than last week, but I guess we're always doing things different around here. It's been a time. I got stuff going on in real life, and I'll be honest, I forgot that I had to make an episode. So, yeah. Today, I'm just going to read a passage from the book and then kind of deconstruct it a little bit, or at least just get my feelings on it, and then that'll be it. February 6, 1995, Monday, period 2. You know, I was thinking really hard today. I am ugly. Not just not pretty, or not even just homely or plain. I'm really and honestly ugly. There's nothing good about me. That is very depressing. It scares me just thinking about myself, my whole self. I figured I could get a lot of plastic surgery and be happy. I mean, look at me. My face is so demented, and I'm overweight. I'm not totally fat, but, well, yes, I am. I just think I'm good at hiding it with my baggy clothes. And Dave, well, he's just being nice when he says all that he says when we're alone together. I'm so putrid. I want to cry. Anytime I look in the mirror, it depresses me. Sometimes I really want to just rip out my hair and kill myself. I mean, what guy is ever going to love this monstrosity? I mean, clearly Dave doesn't even want to be seen with me. I'm good for just behind closed doors. I'm just so gross. Oh, this really sucks. Write more later. Period 7. Dave isn't here today. I guess I'll call him when I get home. I still need to go get my pills. And I think maybe we should finally have the talk. Okay, so I picked this passage to read today because, well, I feel like a lot of people, I was going to say girls, but I actually think a lot of people just in general, boys, girls, non-binary, just everyone, just people in general. I think a lot of people just feel like this. And it's sad. It makes me sad because I think back at it and I have mixed feelings because I feel sad for this girl. She hated herself. She hated how she looked physically, and she put her worth into her physicality. And that, it sucks because that's not where our worth lies. And even though I feel like I've healed from being this 17-year-old girl, but at the same time, I definitely still do struggle with stuff. It's funny because I wasn't fat back then. I was actually very tiny, size 0 at this point, 98 pounds, 95 pounds, definitely under 100. And to me, it wasn't enough. And I look back and it's it was the 90s. So image was a big deal. I think it was really the start of, this whole unhealthy image thing that we have going on now. Instagram ready and the plastic surgery, as I mentioned in there, has come to a head at this point. so many people use filters, so many people have had plastic surgery, so many people have had fillers or whatever the case may be. And back then it's like the 90s, the waif look was in, like heroin chic, some people even called it. Kate Moss was really big. These models who you could see all of their bones through their skin, and like that was projected as the ideal and the standard of beauty back then. And yeah, of course the 17-year-old girl felt ugly and felt fat and didn't feel enough for anyone, including herself. And I don't think it's gotten better. I don't think it's gotten better for the majority of people now. And it worries me about the younger generations that this is super normal for them. Just look at one of, YouTube and TikTok stars, Eugenie Clooney, or Eugene Clooney. I don't know. But she is so thin. Like, she's so thin. I mean, like, medically needs help thin. And when I see her videos, it bothers me, and it makes me worried as a mother of a daughter around her age, as a woman who just cares. It's upsetting, especially when in the comments, there's so many people, all these girls especially, that are like, oh, you are so beautiful, how did you lose all that weight, or what are your secrets? And it's like, no, she is sick. That's sick. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with her. I find her content interesting. She's not really my speed, but like, she's a very interesting girl. She seems very, very nice. But the image that people want is that, and it's sad, because it's sad, and I wish someone would get her help instead of just encouraging it. And these young girls who are seeing her on these social media platforms, it's just reinforcing the things that they're getting inundated with from the time they're born. Because that's the problem, is that truly our society wants people to be that tiny, and it's upsetting, to say the least. So yeah, the ugly thing, I mean, yeah, this is a weird subject to talk about, because I still feel ugly. I still try to avoid mirrors anytime I can. I hate pictures. I'm very not photogenic. I'm like, oh my God, I'm like, ew. But also at the same time, I know I am not, or at least I wasn't, the worst looking. I would never say that I was pretty or good looking, but I've had, I don't know how to say this without, because I'm very far from a self-loving person, but I've been told that I'm not ugly by a lot of people through life, and I think they're all delusional, but I know I'm I'm not a Quasimodo, which is really what I kind of always pictured myself as. Body dysmorphia is a real thing. Like it is a real thing. If you had me sit down and draw a picture of myself, it would not look anything like who I am. And now aging, it's gotten weird and different because there's one part of me that just doesn't care. Like, I am who I am. I look how I look. And that's just fine. My husband loves me. He's attracted to me. That really should be all that matters. Those in my life don't look at me and gag, which at a point I kind of imagined, kind of assumed that they did and would. And so there is that I have come to terms, like I'm okay. But at the same time, no, it's still hideous. It's still all horrible. And with the aging thing, it's even worse because now I feel old. I feel like I look old. So, all the filters on Snapchat and on TikTok where they age you, that's how I feel I look. Like those filters are actually how my inner self pictures me when I think of other people looking at me. And it's weird. It's very weird. Self-image is strange because I don't know, like, and then there's the whole thing about how we don't actually see ourselves how other people see us. Again, another TikTok thing where they do the inverted picture, so it's like flipped. So when you look in a camera, when you're taking a selfie, or when you look in the mirror, you're seeing the opposite of what other people see. Like, it's flipped, right? So these filters are flipping people's faces to be able to, so you see yourself in the same perspective that other people see you. And like, hands down, most of the videos are like, oh my God, this is horrendous. Like, who is this? What is this face? Why do I look like that? And yeah. Which doesn't help the whole, like, I feel hideous thing. Because, like, oh my God. So you're telling me that I look in the mirror and I make myself as presentable as I can, to a point where I'm as comfortable as I can be with the face that I have on. But now you're telling me that that's not even what people see. Like, and then you flip it and you're like, oh God, not only is that what I see in the mirror not what other people see, but what they actually do see is just, what is that? Like, sometimes I feel like I look like a Picasso. I mean, I know everyone, like, one side of your face, like, is different than the other. That's just, like, a given. Like, one eye is, like, slightly smaller than the other. And I think when we look in the mirror, like, maybe we compensate for that with our hairstyles or, whatnot. But then, is everyone else sees the uneven, like, because when you do the inverted, when you do the flipped mirror, oh my God, what is that? It's so disturbing, and I hate it. I've been trying to find peace in everything, and I'm 46 years old at this point. Like, if I'm not comfortable with myself, how is anyone else going to be comfortable with myself? If I hate myself, how am I going to, think anyone else is going to fully love me. And like, that's weird because like I know people do fully love me. They see me all the time. They know that this is my face. Like I don't look any different to these people that I've been around for years and years and years. But to me it's like, whoa, what? Stop looking. You don't need to do you don't need to do that because it's bad and it's scary. Mental health is something weird, and self-perception is weird, and image is weird, and the pressures of society are weird, and I don't know. It's interesting because now it's like people aren't, the wafy look isn't as big as it used to be, even though there are still those that want to be as thin as possible. But it's funny because it's like as time changes, what people find attractive change. There was a time when larger bodied people were found more attractive than thinner people. I mean, yes, way back, way back in the day, that was it. But it isn't even that long ago that, there were ads in, newspapers and such and magazines trying to convince women that they needed to gain weight and not be these skinny people. I think it was like, like the 40s and 50s. Telling people that, this product will make you gain weight. No one wants a skinny mini. Like, it's like literally stuff like that. And it was normal because no one wanted these super thin, supposedly, people. They wanted Marilyn Monroe type women who did have curves, still hourglass shaped, but softer, rounder curves. And so I find it difficult, or I find that it's like weird that people can't just be like, oh, I personally find this attractive, or I personally want to look like this, or I personally do look like this, instead of trying to get this societal idolized, image, because it's constantly changing and not everyone likes the same stuff. There are plenty of people that like, bigger women. There are plenty of people that like smaller women. There are plenty of people that like average size. There's not one thing that every single person likes. There just isn't. And yet our society, especially when it comes to women, I feel, we put expectations on ourselves. And not only on ourselves, but our society is like, hey, we picked this type of image, no matter what other people actually want. We picked this image and this is what we're going to shove down your throats. And it's not healthy. It's just not healthy. I still personally am working through a lot of that stuff. I, even in my late 40s at this point, I do not. So this is a hard discussion. I don't hate myself anymore. But I also don't want to be, how do I say this? I also don't want to be perceived. I don't want to be perceived. I guess that's more of a me issue than a society issue. I feel the judgment. So even when I feel good, when I feel confident about myself, there's still this air of, I'm not enough. I'm not good enough. I don't look the part. And that's really sad. Like, it's really sad. I do think that, like, that there might be a part of me that, like, that could be the neurospicy thing rearing its ugly head. The rejection sensitivity disorder, and then the whole, like, not wanting to be perceived. I don't remember what it's called, but, like, you literally don't like to be perceived. It's an ASD thing. Um and I don't like people looking at me, and it's my own hang up. But it's a hang up that has been instilled in me since I was young. And I've been told that, to be worthy, to be enough, you have to look a certain way. And ugh. I guess if I could say anything to the younger generation and to any women, and, like, I mean, really anyone out there struggling, because I know men and boys and everybody, they all struggle with it too. Because there's a lot of pressure out there. There's a real lot of pressure. Our society is very image based. But if I could say anything to anyone and, like, have a point to this today in this reading, is you are wonderful and beautiful just as you are. Even if you don't fit into those parameters of Instagram beauty or, whatever, you are enough, and you are wonderful, and you are beautiful just as you are. You are just as you are supposed to be. These are things that I'm trying to take in myself, trying to remember every day, and trying to, maybe not make faces at myself when I see myself in the mirror. Maybe not hide from every camera that's around just because I know I'm gonna look like a weird little Oompa Loompa freak or whatever. See, even that, like, I look like me. I need to learn not to be so judgmental of myself. Like, I can find beauty in every single person I've ever seen. I can compliment every single person I've ever come in contact with, genuinely compliment them about something about themselves. And I struggle with that with myself, and I know others do too, and that's something that needs to be different, because we are the ones that are with us every single day. Like, I am the one that I hear 24 hours a day. I hear that voice in my head, and having that voice be mean to me doesn't do any good. It does nothing but hinder me in many ways. And it hurts. And again, in a lot of different ways. It hurts my self-esteem. It hurts me mentally. It hurts me emotionally. I end up not being the person I want outwardly because I'm afraid of other people's perceptions. Like, my husband, I mean, we've been together, for a very long time. We've been married over 20 years. We've been involved for 30. It's a lot. And he tells me all the time. He finds me, pretty or hot or whatever the case may be. And I doubt it. For 30 years. For 30 fucking years. This guy has been saying this shit. And I'm still like, nerp. Yeah, okay, whatever, dude. Like, he doesn't have to try to get in my pants. He can just get in them if he wants to. Like, it's not lip service. He's not getting anything from me by saying these things. So it's a me thing. Like, I have to understand that, like, he's genuine, and when other people say things, that they genuinely mean it. And it's my image, my body image, my face image, my hang-ups that are holding me back from really being a full person. Because when you want to hide yourself physically, you can't be a full person. You can't fully be yourself. You are always holding something back. And I think, fear is overrated. It's a lot of the times a construct of our own minds, and we just have to push through. I don't know. I'm like babbling at this point. I don't even know what my point is. I want people to understand that they're not alone with how they feel, and that self-love is not automatic for everyone. And that's okay, as long as, you give yourself some slack and try to be gentle with yourself and try to understand that, like, no one is as judgmental of you as you are. And these are lessons I've been trying to learn myself. Yeah. So I guess to close this out, I would just say every single one of you is beautiful and unique and wonderful and exactly who and what you should be. And you're loved. You're loved for being you. Just for you. You is enough. And don't let those intrusive thoughts win, because that's what that is. Those thoughts telling you that you aren't enough, or that you're ugly, or you're fat, or whatever the case may be. Those are intrusive thoughts. Don't listen to those assholes, because you're wonderful. And I love you all. So I just want to thank you for joining me today for this Mod Podge of babble that was today's episode of Naive in the 90s, the podcast. It was a thing. I hope you do come back in 2 weeks for a new episode. Make sure to follow so you don't miss it. I promise it will be more organized, and there'll be an actual topic and whatever. It'll be better than this one because this was just, oh God. But yeah, so for questions, comments, feedbacks, or contribution to the conversation, send me a message at naiveinthe90s@gmail.com, or connect with me on social media, like any of them, with the handle at naiveinthe90s. And of course, don't forget to grab your copy of Naive in the 90s, the creative nonfiction book based on real life diaries from the early and mid 90s. Follow along as a high schooler tries to navigate life, friends, relationships, and of course the raddest era ever. And so that's gonna do it, and thank you again for joining. Hope to see you next time. Peace and love, my dudes.